If you missed day 2 of CWL Miami, I feel for you. Really, I truly do, as I think I'm going to go ahead and definitively say this was my favorite day of Call of Duty, rivaling and I think beating that of the PLQ's final day. We've got breakdowns from the playoff bracket, open bracket, and who is where as far as the bracket goes, but also who's going to be at champs for the open. That and more coming right up. Call of Duty fans, I am so pumped to be able to get this video out to you guys. If you missed yesterday, you missed about 12 hours of just full throttle, nutty action coming through to you. We're going to start things off and just go quickly because we have a lot of things to go into. Let's start things off of what the play-in bracket looked like, just as a reminder to go into who our two teams from the bottom 8 of the CWL would be able to get to the playoff bracket. This is kind of like a qualifier for playoffs. Evil Geniuses was able to get past Enigma 6 at a 3-0 and UYU at a 3-0 to cement their spot from the top half of the bracket. And beyond that, LG, a little bit more of a scare as they had a 3-1 versus Units, but were able to find another 3-1 versus Midnight to be the team from the bottom half. Now, if you remember, we also played the first round of the winners bracket, or the playoff bracket, to get things finished on day 1, where Heretics lost to Luminosity in a nail-biting Game 5, and Reciprocity had no problems whatsoever with Evil Geniuses. They would go down to the losers bracket, again, double elimination here. So let's go ahead and dig into the games first as we see them kind of listed here. It's going to be very difficult. I'm going to be pretty brief with these as much as I possibly can. Let's start off with Luminosity versus OpTic. OpTic had a lot of value in the first couple of hills. It was 84-4 in the first 2 hills of Hacienda Hardpoint, but then LG would put together a 256-15 response. Initially, the reaction that I was kind of having was, OpTic, okay, we believe you. You said that these new changes looked good. Immediately flopped into what in God's name are OpTic doing? It would go to the Search and Destroy Hacienda where things would look even worse for OpTic Gaming. A 6-1 there for LG as LG was just smothering OpTic all over the map. Crim had 9 kills through 2 maps. Seems good. Then to finish things off, it would be a 3-0 because LG was all over OpTic. Marry me. It was just nuts. Crim played much better. He finished with 33 total kills. It wouldn't make a difference because Gridlock still ended up going in favor of Luminosity. And my biggest thing for OpTic comes down to the simple fact of, did you spend more time worrying about yourselves and being like, okay, well, how do we make these weapon and role swaps happen when everybody else is working on getting better for their opponents? It seems like the latter of the two because OpTic looked atrocious. 100 Thieves, FaZe coming up next. Hardpoint, Gridlock would start things off first. The SMGs were dead silent for 100 Thieves in this set as FaZe was all over them early. FaZe up front looked great. They would take the edge on the rotation, which gave them the edge in the set. 250-219 on the Gridlock Hardpoint. Arsenal was not much better. Scraps had full streaks by round 6, a 6-1 on Search and Destroy Arsenal. Then we'd go to control Gridlock, and 100 Thieves looked huge after they had a first offense and an initial defense. It would start to come back and forth as round 4 FaZe opened up huge on both A and B to get streaks to round 5, and FaZe in round 5 with streaks were able to get an early life lead, and their specialists were just better throughout. A 3-0 for FaZe Clan against 100 Thieves, getting a little revenge there. United versus Reciprocity. Gridlock Hardpoint first. Arcities had a 1-12 start. Yikesers, but EU still had a plus 20 point lead. Arcities would then wake up, and Abizi and Simp had incredible sets. SMGs dominating this matchup here, as it would be E United finding the 250-123 on Gridlock. Search and Destroy, EU, very back and forth. Didn't watch much of this to start, I'm not going to lie to you guys, but as I came back through, Dylan was nutty, as he would get a grab slam at the end, but it was score streaks for E United to close things out. 6-4 on the frequency. Control, Seaside, Dylan is a maniac. But he was the only one really performing for his team today as EU cleaned things up on their hits at B and A on C side. Great life management. EU defense gets lives after the initial A point, and that would be it. A 3-0 for E United. Gen G versus Splice. Not going to lie to you, I missed the first 2, but it looked to be pretty good ones. It was a 250-202 on Arsenal for Gen G, and then Splice would bounce back with a 6-4 on the Search and Destroy frequency. However, finishing out the rest of the set, it was all Gen G. Huke had a couple of masterful moments, but it really just looked like Splice was just out there aggro challenging everything, and Gen G was having none of it. 250-75 on the Hardpoint Gridlock. And a 3-0 in the control, also on gridlock. Splice, not able to get it done, 3-1. Zooming on forward, LG versus FaZe Clan. Whew. Barn burner, coming at you guys. This was a really good one. Go back and watch it. LG had early streaks on Slack, who had a 6-0 start. But FaZe would bounce back. Scraps able to do essentially the exact same thing as he would get double streaked. And late in the first rotation, Slack was the big performer for LG, but he wasn't quite able to get things done for his squad. 250, 219 on frequency hardpoint. Going to Arsenal. It was the 0 show for FaZe, as he was able to get big early with a 4-round lead. It would end up being a 6-3 for FaZe. Looking to close things out. They would try it. They would go for it. It would be the control. And well, FaZe defenses traded back and forth. They would find solid attacks on their second approach to gridlock control with specialists. They would take the edge now 2-1 in this set with the 3-1 win. And then Hacienda, FaZe ripped the first hard point apart in the rotation of Hills. They looked incredible all the way throughout. Luminosity were not quite able to keep up. A 3-1 in the set for FaZe Clan. Moving on to your winners finals. E United versus Gen G. Hardpoint Arsenal is where we'd start. A very hot start for Gen G. The double AR setup working great for them. Brilliant idea to take United to Arsenal because, again, they had really been relying on their SOG presence. It would be a 250 to 184 for Gen G. Going to Hacienda, search and destroy. EU was getting smoked initially, but were able to bring things back, send it to round 11, and they would clutch things out a 6-5 on the Hacienda. Control Arsenal. Do not play EU on Control Arsenal. If you missed it, we did a breakdown of how they approach Control Arsenal and why they're so good at it. Gen G found that out the hard way, a 3-0 as E United would take the lead in the set. Then we go to hardpoint frequency, SMG gameplay, SMG gameplay, SMG gameplay. It's taking over this tournament. In case you missed it, it's SMG gameplay. E United able to find the win, 250 to 177 and 3-1 in the set. Going up against FaZe Clan in your winners final tomorrow. Let's go get recapped on what's going on in the losers bracket, because this was another area where a lot of drama happened. Starting things off with Splice versus Heretics. Hardpoint, Seaside. It's Hardpoint, Seaside things. Back and forth, ping pong game. Comes down to the last hill on Fountain, where Splice had control of it. They were technically down in the numbers. I think it was like 215 to 235. And Splice were able to finish things out as Heretics did not have any specialist or score streaks to break Fountain. GG 250, 235. S&D, Arsenal, Splice. Where was this in your winners bracket match? They were egoing so much initially. I thought, this is wild. How are you just getting away with this? The fact of the matter was they were getting away with it. 6-2 the score on Arsenal for Splice. Going to control gridlock. Heretics started to become more wise to what Splice were doing. Defense is getting traded back and forth until we get to round number 4, where Heretics were able to take their round 4 attack with specialists behind them on gridlock. A 3-1 win there. A 2-1 in the set so far. We would try to get things going on gridlock. Hardpoint, Splice really started to get polished and clean by the end of this set. It's really hard to pick one thing in particular that Heretics was doing wrong. It was just some gunfights that weren't going away when they were holding and going on rotations. There wasn't any really thing that was too troublesome for Heretics. They just weren't winning some fights. Huke had a couple of masterful 2-pieces, and Aqua did the same as well. Splice win the set 3-1 after they take the hard point 250 to 119. 100 Thieves in round 1 losers bracket versus Evil Geniuses. And Evil Geniuses looked good in the play-in bracket, not quite as good versus Rec. What would they be able to do versus 100 Thieves? The answer is they would do a lot. 100 Thieves, they would start to wake up a little bit, but EG would miss out on a few rotations late on Arsenal Hardpoint where they were up pretty convincingly. But 100 Thieves puts together the comeback effort, stringing together a handful of Hills late in the rotation of Hills, and that would be a 250 to 225 to 100 Thieves. S&D Gridlock. Apathy and Attach are doing insane as they were able to find both a Grav Slam and a War Machine by round 9. This is when they were down 3-5 in rounds. EG would make the comeback. They were able to find 3 in a row and take the round 11 6-5 over 100 Thieves. Control, Gridlock, Vision Pulse, Grav Slam, War Machine, streaks for 100 Thieves, all going into round 5. That would be the only thing to clean things up as they survive against EG in the Control 3-2. Hacienda Hardpoint. Very back and forth between both teams. Priesta would start to finally make some noise, but it was Accuracy who really kind of stole the show in this one, a 250 to 239 it was, favoring Evil Geniuses. Game 5. Would we see another nail biter in Search and Destroy? No, we would not. Looked like nerves were getting the better of evil geniuses, as 100 Thieves would not give them any daylight whatsoever. 6-2, 100 Thieves takes the set 3-2, but what a scare it was. Back up to the top, Reciprocity dropping down from the winner's bracket, going up against Splice. Splice did a really good job of breaking some money hills on Seaside, specifically Fountain to Barrels. They were doing very, very well, but the problem was nothing else was going their way. Dylan is a madman. SMGs of Wreck were just too good for this one. 250, 190 on Seaside. Search and Destroy, Frequency. Wreck runs through Splice, no problem. 6-2 there. Control Frequency. It really just came down to Splice not looking like they're ready to play at the same speed as Reciprocity. A 3-1 there, a 3-0 in the set. Barn Burner. Should be, could be, wouldn't be. OpTic, 100 Thieves. Hardpoint, Gridlock, 100 Thieves. Destroyed OpTic. 250, 166. Honestly, 100 Thieves was just breaking hills way too easily on Gridlock. Flat out. Just way too easily. Kenny had a number of great opening two pieces on rotations as well as in midpoints of hills. It was insane. VP, the Vision Pulse, was never earned for Karma. Search and Destroy, Hacienda. OpTic, really getting a lot of bad luck on some of their aggressive plays. They love Hacienda. They love to get their SOGs up in front. But 100 Thieves were able to respond to it pretty nicely, and using their utility just a touch better, were able to give 100 Thieves a much better advantage in the map. Scump had a great map this time around in Hacienda, but it wasn't enough to keep the side of OpTic involved, and that would be a 6-4 going the way of 100 Thieves. So to avoid the full sweep, OpTic, Control, Seaside. Krim looks lost on automatics. He was 0-6 after the completion of Control round number 1. Defenses back and forth. Eventually, it would be 100 Thieves breaking that trend. Krim would finish 7-24. 3-1 the score there on the Control Seaside. 3-0 for 100 Thieves. OpTic exit Miami with a goose egg next to the wins and maps. We'll talk more about that later in other videos. Don't you worry about that, friends. Let's jump on forward. Luminosity dropping down would go up against Reciprocity. This was an insane set. Dylan was a madman. All you need to know about this first one on Hacienda was that Dylan was 33-18. That effort is good for the 250-164 Wreck win. Search and Destroy, Hacienda. LG started slow, but had great adjustments. They've been making great adjustments all day long to the Reciprocity and general SOGs from all of their counterparts. A 6-4 win for LG. Looking to come back into the set. Control, Seaside. LG would win both of their attacks on round 2 and round 4, amounting to a 3-1 win favoring LG on Seaside. Control. Hardpoint, Frequency. LG was down about 40 to start, but then would start to run away with Frequency until Dylan would put together a 26-4 comeback run on the last rotation of hills, and Reciprocity would win a nail-biter 250-243. Dylan is the best player in this game title. You cannot change my mind. Search and Destroy would then be finished off on Gridlock. Dylan did more Dylan things, but everybody participated. A very good set here. It was a 6-3 though for Reciprocity. Luminosity, exit. Not what you want to see in T6 as Reciprocity take the W3-2. 100 Thieves, Gen G, repeat of Anaheim Grand Finals and Winners Finals. Hardpoint would start things off on Frequency, and 100 Thieves would start slow, but they would earn an early War Machine from Envoy would get completely countered, and then from there on out, it was 100 Thieves for Streaks and Specialists and Streaks, as they ran it up 250-103. Everyone from 100 Thieves finished positive. S&D Payload will be map number 2, as Gen G was finding First Bloods all over the place on Payload, would take map positioning away from 100 Thieves. A 6-3 win for Gen G in the Search and Destroy. Control, Gridlock would be up next. Again, 100 Thieves looked good here. Gen G just looked better. 3-1 the score there for GG. Hardpoint, Arsenal. All I got to talk about is Nagafen. He gets 1 Tempest for about every 2 that Octane was getting throughout this set. And not only that, but he never popped it in this set. Well, by the way, Octane popped his late to actually win the game. Nagafen, question marks, big ones. 250, 218, 100 Thieves on Arsenal. Then we go to Search and Destroy, and well, maybe Nagafen felt a little responsibility as he was able to win a very clutch 1v2, and then it came down to Mox in a 1v3, Kenny on the bomb with not full HP. You peek it from elbow on Frequency, he gets 4 bullets into Kenny with 8 seconds left. Kenny drops, bomb detonates, 6-3, Gen G take the set in 5. Insane looks. Here is what our 4-team championship bracket will look like. FaZe Clan and E United in the winner's bracket, Reciprocity and Gen G in the loser's bracket. I would say that was maybe what some people predicted, maybe 3 of the 4 to get to the top 4, but I don't think anybody had Reciprocity going this far, not with the likes of 100 Thieves in that top side of the bracket. But again, when you have 100 Thieves, FaZe, and OpTic in the top side of the bracket together with Luminosity there as well, you figure 2 of those are not going to be getting to the top 4, and that's exactly what happens this time through. So those will be what happened tomorrow. I don't want to give too many statistics away because there's so many things to go over, and honestly, stats mean for absolutely nothing when it comes to this point, but I will give you some brief history on these games. EU versus FaZe. EU has the edge in the series 2-0, 6-4 in the maps, technically speaking. But if you were to go back and look at when they last played, it would go back to London pools where FaZe weren't quite able to get things done in map number 5. The head-to-head, 3-1 in hard points favoring E United, 3-1 in search and destroy favoring E United, 2-0 favoring FaZe in the control. So some things to keep in mind there, not too much to really look at though, because again, FaZe is looking like a totally different team than we saw them at the cross-divisional or before that when even they were at London and had a really good performance. And then on the bottom side of the bracket, Reciprocity and Gen G. It's technically a 2-1 head-to-head favoring Reciprocity, but it's dead even at 7 maps apiece for both of these squads. Last that they played, it was in the week following London, where Gen G was able to find a map 5 win, but this one was a close one. A 20-point differential on one of the hard points, a 5-6 round 11 in the search and destroy, and the head-to-head in maps, it's been 4-2 for the hard point favoring Gen G, a 4-1 in the search and destroy favoring Reciprocity, and then a 2-1 in the control favoring Gen G. That's going to be a good one. It's going to be down to Nagafen if he performs, because he had a pretty shaky day all the way through. So that's what I got for you guys there. Before we jump away though, I want to hit you guys with the top 16 qualifiers to the World Championship from the open bracket. I'm not going to go too in detail with these, but I will run through the teams. I'll let this kind of sit up here for you guys to look over the rosters. The boys with Quicker, Shawnee Bance, Nasty, and Shane will be going up against Team War in the finals. The boys are the team out of the winners bracket, so Team War will have to take 2 best of 5s out of the losers bracket away from the boys if they want to find themselves that first place title from the open bracket. Mazer Gaming finishes in 3rd. That mostly consists of a lot of pros with Spacely, Parzelian, and apparently Jet Lit, which I have up here, my bad. Space Esports in 4th. Singularity and Sicario Gaming in the top 6 position. That's Tommy, Gino, Proto, Exceed, and Linny with a very good performance. Carnage Gaming, I expected them to maybe get top 16, but not top 8. They definitely came to play. Aspire Esports also up there. Another big finish for the guys there. The big surprisers, the guys that initially moved Mindfreak to the losers bracket, were Excalibur. They were able to get through their first round of the losers bracket after qualifying, but not quite able to get the job done past that. A top 12 for them. As well in that mix is Fury Gaming, which is Teddy Rex's squad. Keep your eye on Hybrid Gaming with Spoof, Panda, and Beezy. That's going to be a good team eventually. And how about this Train Hard squad? The French boys plus Yako the God. I'm telling you, Yako is the Messiah reborn. Firesticks Gaming, the one that nobody expected, and I personally couldn't tell you much about this team outside of Gunzy and Human Jesus, who I've seen in CMG tournaments. Team Divinely slept on them hard, the German qualifying team. They had a very good tournament here. Fuego as well, top 16. That's Chalkster with Hockey, Mad Cat, and Pain. And then legend status, Hancho, Fancho will be at World Champs. And if you're not hyped about that, I don't know what will get you hyped. Those are your top 16. Beyond this video, I will recap Sunday for you guys. And then I will also say this before you go. I will be doing personal videos for all 32 teams that'll be at World Championships with how they might be matched up in their pools. Again, how the pools will all work are very, very kind of chaotic and confusing snake fashion. But I want to give you guys this information because I know there's a lot of you amateurs that are out there. I will be doing 32 individual videos for every single team. And for the open teams, if you're out there and you're watching from one of these open teams, I plan on getting your line on Twitter because I want to talk to you guys directly and put that in the videos to get some idea of what you guys are feeling, how you're thinking about whatever the pool draws are, and things like that. So keep your eyes tuned on the channel if you like that kind of content. I love the Tier 2 amateur scene. I know you guys are rooting hard for somebody to come through and give you the content that you want. I'm going to be that guy for you. It's been a pleasure having you guys. I'll get you guys with a Sunday recap tomorrow, but until then, hope you guys keep... Oh, before I go, I don't know what I'm doing here. I will be streaming everything tomorrow on my channel with analysis, reactions. Maybe a couple people will join the call, but I will be streaming everything over on my Twitch channel. So if you want to join in and have a conversation, that would be a great place to do it. Also, make sure you subscribe on your way out. Now I'll set you guys later. Until next time, hope you have a wonderful weekend. Later. Bye-bye.